Oh, hello. Welcome to my latest video, the introduction to the material library and the object library in Cinema 4D. So I've got my basic startup thing that I've put together just so that it's there when I need it when I start a new file in Cinema 4D. We'll talk you through it really quickly. This is the object library here, and this is your material library. And the relationship between these two is very important because see these little balls on here, yeah, they correspond to here. So you have if you click on one of these, it shows you which of these it corresponds to. So like if I was to apply this one to the one here, see what you drag and drop that, but you would obviously my right disk light would be all black and horrible. So undo that. But you get the gist. And yeah, so in the object library, you got these little plus and minus things. You can nest things within other things. I can literally nest this whole fucking studio rig inside the camera. Apologies for the French there. I did try and catch myself out, but just fast forward past it. So there. In the object library, you can literally nest everything inside everything else. It's crazy. You don't want to go too mad. I mean, there's probably a nesting limit. I think I might have hit the nesting limit once. That might have been a Mac OS X. I do like to push it to its limits. But there you go. So when you're making materials in Cinema 4D, you're going to want to apply them to your geometry. This is just my studio rig. There is geometry here, but it's all lights. So let's make a sphere. Here's your sphere. So there's a sphere. And how I would go about applying a material to that sphere is by dragging and dropping the material tag either onto the object, or if we undo that, onto the object in the library. And you can apply various materials to your objects, and you can rearrange the order of them as well, which is actually really useful. And we'll come to that later on in life, but that's pretty amazing. And so you have your materials there, and obviously it's very important to kind of understand the relationship between them. And when you obviously open your material editor pane here, oh yes, by the way, I figured out how to have my windows appearing now in this streaming software type thing I'm using. So that's cool. So it's actually pretty easy. So you have all these options. Now this is the Cinema 4D physical renderer, and I might add, all of these materials are only applicable to the renderer that you're using them in. So these materials won't be compatible with V-Ray, Arnold, Redshift, Octane, any of that. You have to make your own materials for those renderers. It is 10:30 now. I am having a beer. I make no apologies. So these checkboxes obviously turn on and off your various bits and bobs. Actually, transparency there. So if I was to kind of render that, you'd see a little weird bubble thing, or maybe not so weird. Undo it, then you have your texture that I made. The point of it is I'm not going to go too much into the actual materials right now in the physical. Because it's only relevant to the physical renderer, and if you want to use other renderers, you're going to have to learn it again. There's this many channels. I don't know, what is it, like 10 channels? They're all the material channels that you can have in the physical renderer Cinema 4D. You can have the same with the standard renderer, which is kind of up here, standard. And it's physical and standard render are very similar. Physical render is actually better. But yeah, and obviously you have your color options. You have your, you can make different colors and stuff in there. It's, again, I'm not going to go into it too much, but that's the gist of it. And obviously, if you have different colors and stuff, you can still pop it on here and it'll overlap with them. You can add the material to the other material, and if you change the color, that should affect it by kind of blending the two together. I'll do a proper video about material design at some point in the physical renderer. I don't use any other renders besides the physical. It comes with Cinema 4D. It's built in. I don't have to pay any more money to use it. So, I'm a one-man band, and I don't really need Video, Octane, or all that jazz. I get what I want out of the physical, and it gives me the results I need. As long as you're kind of like reasonably fluent in it. I don't need 30 material channels. The ones I've got in the physical are fine. Maybe one day, and V-Ray is a very popular renderer, and so is Redshift and Arnold and Octane and whatever other third-party renderers exist, Cycles in Blender, etc. And Blender's free. I mean, I'd recommend learning it. I never learned it because it's one of those things that's quite hard to learn, especially after you got used to how easy to use Cinema 4D is. So, the only time I ever open Blender is when I have to download a Blender file from TurboSquid, and it's just a dot blend, so I can convert it to whatever geometry I need to be compatible with Cinema 4D. But I'm happy to pay for this. It's a good piece of software. Basically that's your object library, that's your material library, drag and drop, etc. Not rocket science. But nothing about Cinema 4D really is. In the next video, we'll be covering Introduction to the MoGraph module. And I think, we've been doing the real basic stuff so far, and I don't want you to get too bored. So we'll do something a bit more juicy next. Because obviously, you gotta be interested and stuff. And it's been a bit like, Boston karate chopping wood with your hands so far. I want to make some ninjas here out of you guys, and we've done the boring stuff so far. So we'll do something exciting next. But for the moment, we're going to stop on a real kind of like basic thing. You've probably already figured it out anyway. But here it is in all its glory. I wish you all the best for your 3D journey, and I'll be back soon with another video all about how to use the MoGraph. I won't be doing complete MoGraph coverage. Remember, this is the 80-20 rule we're working by here on the concept of these videos. And the idea is to get you engaged, but not tell you how to suck eggs, because, you're all clever people. And, I love you all. You're amazing. And we'll catch up next time. All the best, and, anyway, bye.